Hey, good morning guys. Alright, so what we're doing today is we are going to build a holster for this. This is the Berreta PX4 Storm. As you can see right there, it is in 40 cal. I don't know if there's a difference as far as slide goes. When and if at all possible, what I like to do is buy a mold for your gun or mock it up for the holster. Okay. Alright, so all I did here is I took a 5/8 drill bit and I just drilled one single hole. Now sometimes you might have to, if you don't get enough of the Kydex to hold on to that, sometimes what you can do is you just take a Dremel and you just widen a hole out. Alright, sometimes I haven't even drilled all the way through. It just depends. Now I'm seeing up here that it has a lot of stuff to grip onto, so it's probably not going to be that big of an issue, but I do like to have a little bit more grip up front because I want that audible click. Alright, what happens is the Kydex comes in, comes around, clicks into that little hole, and you're good to go. Now what I'm going to do is, like I said, I make these out of just my Carter Kydex, my Carter or G10, and what I'm going to do is try to fix it here with just a little bit of double stick tape. Alright, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so this right here, black piece of Kydex, it's .80, that's how thick it is. It's 24 inches long. I typically just cut them in 8, so 8 inches to here, 8 inches to here, 8 inches to here, all the way to the end. And what that does is it gives me 3 pieces out of this. Now when you're doing guns, all you're really doing is covering this part of the slide. Okay, you don't have to worry about the handle because you're going to cut up and around the handle. Alright, so you just need to cover at least maybe an inch or two in front of the gun, this whole slide, the in front of the trigger guard, underneath the trigger guard, and up and around here. Okay, this whole back section with the handle does not get touched at all, so you don't need that. Alright, so what I've learned to do is 8 inches seems to be about the right size to have a little bit more of maneuvering or a little fudge factor. Okay, fudge factor is really good when it comes to Kydex, and it gives me more than enough. Now you can, and I've contacted them, if you wanted to just get 8-inch pieces directly from the factory, you can do that. They'll custom cut it for you, so you don't have to do this. Because I make so many different products, it doesn't really make sense to do that, but if you were just going to make gun holsters, then you can do that. So again, this is going to be a taco version, so this is going to be folded over. It's not going to be a pancake where I sandwich two together. It's just going to be folded over with the gun inside and then pressed. Alright, so I have my Kydex getting heated up. It's getting heated up on my hot plate. That hot plate goes to like 400 degrees. I don't need 400 degrees. Typically I set it between 2 and 250, and I just make sure that it gets pliable. Now I don't use any type of temperature gauges, but you can read the directions if you like. What you want is you want it soft enough to where it molds around the item that you're putting in there. In this case, the mold. You could use the knife or whatever. Same principle, same thing, same exact, everything's the same. The only difference is you're using the fold over method or the pancake method. Those are the only two methods that I know that will make a sheath or a holster. Okay, so as that's heating up, what I'll do is I'll take my heat gun and then heat up the actual rubber. This rubber piece right here, these again knife kits or holster maker. This right here I made myself. They do sell one for 24 inches if you want to make longer pieces, longer. So a lot of times I get knives or swords that are longer that they want, longer pieces, so that's why I made this one. This one right here is from Knife Kits. It's good, but it's small. And eventually you will have to trade out the rubber, that closed cellular rubber, that foam matting. You're going to have to trade it out because it gets compressed and compressed and compressed, and then eventually it gets rotten and then it's no good no more and it just gets all chewed up. So as I'm doing that, I'm constantly checking on my Kydex, making sure that it doesn't burn. So the worst thing you can do is burn the Kydex, alright? You just wasted all that. I'm going to prep this by keeping it somewhere in the middle, and I have my seat clamps. So when I think the Kydex is hot enough, I'm going to fold it over, and I'll show you how to do that. Alright, this is almost about ready. I just keep flipping it back and forth. And again, it doesn't matter if you have any type of Kydex, it just takes whatever heat that you can apply it. Some people use toaster ovens, whatever, pizza ovens, whatever you want to use. Or you can just use the heat gun, which I don't think the heat gun gives it a very, doesn't give it an even heat. Alright, so what I'm doing here is very simple. You can see that this piece of hard plastic is now very malleable. And I'm going to make sure that I have enough to fold it over. Alright, I want enough in the front, and I want enough to cover, okay? And then I'm just giving it a little bit of stretch, not a lot, just a little bit, okay? And then I'll put this on top, and then I'll put this on top of that, and I'm not trying to move it at all, and then comes the clamps. Like I said, this method works best for me. I made this. You can make it yourself. You can also use a book press. There are book presses out there that are very similar to this. This happens to have a hinge on the back, which is holding the other side. A book press comes straight down, and some people like that method better. It works better on different guns and different knives and sheaths and all that other stuff. So it just depends what your flavor is, how you like to do it. You do you. But you can see I'm putting a tremendous amount of pressure on this mold. Now if your gun was in there and it was made of polymer, i.e. Glock, and I'm crushing this thing to get a nice form, a nice seal, because I want definition, well, I could have just crushed your mag well, alright, or maybe your mag release button. Maybe I just pushed it out, alright. I wouldn't know that until I got it out of the mold. So that's why I prefer using the molds. Or the blue guns, either way. The only downside to that is I will not be able to know, because I don't own a Berreta PX4 Storm, the actual fitment. But the way I get around that is I have a tensioner screw that I'm going to put in there. So some of these molds are a little bit bigger than the actual gun, or a little bit wider. So what I'll do is, and I think that's on purpose, so if I put the tensioner in there, it could just bring it down a little bit, okay? And the user, the person that's I'm sending it to, has the option to make it nice and tight. Alright, I'm going to let this sit for about 5 minutes, and then I'll come back. Alright guys, so we usually use a hammer to take these off. It makes things a little bit easier. These are just the lockable clamps. Alright. Oh, also, if you guys are tool guys, I have a friend of mine named Torqued Up. He's on YouTube. He does reviews on tools. So, kind of like a outdoor woodsman tool mechanic. He's good at welding and a whole bunch of mechanics. So Torqued Up, I'll put the link down below if you guys are interested. You know, I use tools all the time. I don't have time to review them, so that's kind of his genre, and he does a really good job. Okay. All right. So it's been in here for a little bit. It's nice and warm. I feel like I got good definition out of it. All right. Again, this is a very large gun, but good definition. What I can do now is, if I wanted to cool this off a little bit quicker, I just use a little bit of compressed air. Still a little bit warm. Sorry, my throat's a little bit sore, so don't worry, it's not COVID, god damn it. Alright, just have a sore throat. Alright, so we got our mold, we got everything ready to go. Now, I should have said this before, but if I haven't said it, what I was doing is I was setting it up for this type of clip. It's called a universal clip, and it's going to clip onto here. That's my hardware attachment. If you are somebody that requires a different type of clip, you wouldn't need to put this mod in there. You could use something like this. This is another inside the waistband type of clip. You can use it for If you needed to do like a double-sided, you can. I have these in different sizes. Also, Molly. If you're somebody that wants to attach this to a tack vest, or if you have a battle belt that requires Molly, these are tech locks. They're a little bit more expensive. These are about $30 a pair, so they're not cheap. So understand that. Belt loops, belt clips, regular tech lock, small tech lock. Okay. Also, straps. All right, for guys that want to wear this inside the waistband with straps, I have that available as well. So the way it would work would be something along this line, right? So you would have it maybe two. I would have to modify something here, and you would have a bunch of straps. All right, it would probably be this way. I'm sorry. So it'd be more along this line. So as you pull it out, it won't come out. Either way, your choice, your flavor. When we upgrade the website, all that stuff is going to come into play. All of that. Okay, so we're just going to label everything, and then you're good to go. All right. All right. So let's see what we got here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my pencil. All right, just a regular mechanical pencil, and I'm going to kind of, sort of figure out what I want cut off. And you could do this either via bandsaw, or you can do it just freehand grinder. We're going to have to do a little bit of both. So what I tend to do is I tend to come right around here. Alright. Right here. Give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Alright. This and then this. Alright. So you can see I wrote over it a few times, sorry. So what I'm going to do here is right here is where my tensioner is going to be. And what that does is it creates tension here, alright? And that's what you want. Remember I said, if you can see it here, I don't know if you can see it on the thing, it has a little bit of a divot. See this divot right here? I had to widen up the hole a little bit. I did it off camera, but I widened up the hole a little bit to give it a little more of that rigidity because I want it to snap in. Same thing on this side, alright? And what I do is I put a little hole right there, and then that becomes your tensioner, and I'll show you how to do that. But for now, all we're going to do is just cut this off. I'm going to pull the mold out, cut it off, and then start working it. Alright, so once I get it off the grinder, really what I'm doing is just taking a straight edge or a razor knife, and I'm just trying to get all these little burrs off. Alright, it's a very tedious task. I'm pretty sure if you had a router, it'd be a little bit cleaner. There are guys that just do things with routers that are very quick, but you know, to each his own. You do you. If you want to do routers, that's fine. I do it the old hand wave method. I'm not making that many holsters, not yet anyway, but modern machinery will make things a lot easier, but you also got to be careful because I like my digits, so be careful with the routers if you're going to do it that way. Alright guys, so I ran into a little bit of a hiccup. You might be looking at this and be like, what the hell is going on there? Alright. So with the Berreta Storm, right, it's a Storm, yeah, the Berreta Storm PX4, it has a pronounced trigger guard, alright. What that does is when you push the Kydex in, it creates a large lump right here that can't get past the rest of the Kydex. The same issue that you were having with the safety is the same issue that you're having with that pronounced trigger guard. So in order to alleviate that, what I've used is popsicle sticks and dowels. Now, I highly recommend that if you're going to do this type of work and you run into these issues, you just buy them in bulk. Okay, you can buy wood dowels for absolutely cheap. And the popsicle sticks I use are the fat ones, the 3/8 ones, or they call them jumbos. You can buy them on Amazon, whatever, and just get that, because otherwise you would not be able to get this gun out. The way this Berreta Storm, and you can even see it right here, the way this Storm is, it comes down like this and then loops back around. If it loops back around here, sort of like in an S or in an arc, you can't pull the gun out. All right, so I alleviated that by using the popsicle sticks and the dowel. Okay. All right, so now that I took all the popsicle sticks off, all right, and this is just, it's not even bolted together. All right, now it fits. Okay, I can actually get it out of the holster. Before I couldn't even get it out. All right, I could not get it out, and the reason is, like I said, you see this pronouncement right here? It goes like this. So all this has to go straight back. Well, it can't go straight back if you have a hole here. So what I did is I just used a stick, get this off, and created a channel. Use a stick and you create a channel, and then this way you can just pull it right out. Now it will change the actual attributes of the holster, but it has some different type of definition as opposed to the original. But the holster is useless if you can't get the gun out. All right. So now it fits in there nice. I did do a repress on this, and I did a little finger press. So use your heat gun, you heat it up, you hold it for a couple minutes, and then now the gun slips in and out very nicely. All right, so you might have to do that, be advised. Not everything is perfect in this perfect world. All right, now comes the fun part, sanding. That's all we're gonna do, sand, sand, sand. I ran into this. There's probably a reason why a lot of holster makers, like, this is an older gun, they don't really make this gun that much, but that's probably a reason why a lot of holster makers won't make this type of holster. Is all those little intricate things, or what they'll do is, like, if you're familiar with it, you can actually glue a dowel or something just to alleviate that kind of issue in the future. Okay. So what I would do is I would remember that next time if somebody ever wanted one of these. It is a full-size gun, so it's kind of big, but those are one of the things that you got to kind of prepare for. You know, all the little things, like it says that it's prepped, it's a prepped gun, and yes, it has blocking on top and for the sight channel, but it doesn't take into consideration this large sweeping piece of the gun. So in that aspect, it is not completely prepped. All right, so you might have to do it yourself. And if you did have a blue gun, let's say you couldn't find this gun, you would have to use some type of doweling or pop sticks just to get it done. All right, so don't be discouraged. You might have to regrind a little bit just to get the corners to meet again. It might be a little off, and then you just sand, 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 sand. For the most part, I got all the scratches out. Now I got to do the buffing. Now, like I said, you could try to do this on a regular buffing wheel. The problem is you can't get into all these little tiny corners and curves. Makes it a little bit difficult, so what I use is a Dremel with a tiny buffing wheel. Now, I will caution you that if you put this thing up to burn down mode, you're going to put holes in it. All right, so you're going to see like divots. You just keep it on a low spin and keep it moving. If you don't keep it moving, you hit it in one spot, it's going to start making lumps, and then your project's going to look crappy. You can use a little bit of rouge. This happens to be the black. You can use whichever one you want. The black is the most aggressive, but you can also use, I've used white, green. You can also use the one that's actually specifically rated for the plastic. All right, it's up to you, to each his own. I did a couple of dry fits just to make sure before I do any more work that it fits, and as you can see, it's not coming out. Now, there's no mechanical connections in here at all, so I have no hook. It's still there, all right, and it's still holding in, so that's a good sign. That's kind of what I like to see. All right, so a little bit of rouge, just get a little bit on there. before I even do that, let me get my safety glasses, safety first guys, and just go around the sides. Nice and easy. Just keep it moving. So after that, I did a quick pass on the bench buffer, and as you can see, it has a nice sheen to it. Right? Has a lot of dust and debris in it as well, but that's what I was trying to do, is just get the edges, make sure it has a nice shine to it. All right. So that's 220 grit. If you wanted to go higher, 320, whatever, that's fine. But like I said, you're going to buff all those marks off anyway. So that's kind of what you're looking for, is that nice shine. So now, what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll put it in a hot soapy water or Simply Green. Simply Green is going to clean out all the debris. You just dump all the water in there, rinse it out, shake it out, just like you were washing your dishes, and then you use an air hose to just blow out all the water, and then you could do the final assembly. Now, that being said, do not use any type of harsh chemicals like acetone or gasoline or any of those weird turpentine. Any of that stuff will destroy this Kydex. All right, it'll discolor it. Don't use diesel, don't use any of those weird things. Hot soapy water or Simply Green with a little bit of water, scrub it in, and just either a sponge or a dish towel, and then just dry it out. And that's for the rest of the life of the Kydex. That's all you need to do. If there's some sand in there, take the gun out, obviously, dunk it in a bowl of hot soapy water, swish it around, dump out the extra, blow it out with air, you're good to go. That's all you need to do. So let me go clean this up. Alright guys, final assembly, pretty simple. I just gave it a nice little bath, cleaned it out a little bit, and like I said, when it comes to hot soapy water, don't make it scalding and leave it in there. If you do that, it'll start to lose its form. So I should reiterate that a little bit. Just a little warm soapy water would be good. Also, if you have Kydex, do not leave it in your car if you live in Arizona or anything like that. It'll deform. So any hot climate area can have the ability to deform the Kydex. So if it's, you know, in your dashboard or in your glove box, that kind of thing, you don't want to leave it there when it's very, very hot. Okay. So a couple things you're going to need. Very simple. Just three Chicago screws. One is going to be for the tensioner, so I guess we can get that one first. It's always a little bit difficult. Sometimes I gotta mess around with it just to see if I can get it in there first. Let's see if that'll work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. Seems to be working pretty well so far. Like I said before in my other video, if you guys are going to do this more as a hobby or whatever the case is, please make sure that you buy these in bulk, okay? Buy them in bulk. See, this one's a little bit too, I want to say it's too long. So let me see if I can find a shorter one. Yep, I got a short one right there. Use that. Alright. So this is too long. Come on, get out, get out, get out. Different sizes work differently. May have to maneuver a couple things here and there, but we kind of just wanted to a little better. I'm a little more confident with that. And then on the other side, excuse me, you put your screws, washer. The rubber washers I'm using is 1/8 inch thick. It seems to be, for me, works the best. And I'm just using my hands and hand tightening it. So if the customer wants to adjust it, they can. These up here typically don't move. You can put these, if you wanted to make a cant on these, you'd have to cut the Kydex a different way. I just go straight up and down. I don't think a lot of people really need the cant, but if you wanted to, you could adjust it that way as well. And as you can see, it's already good to go. All right, so it's not going anywhere. Absolutely. Now, as you can see here, all right, it's not going anywhere. Can't shake it off, that kind of thing. So if you guys are interested, please go to Three River Kydex. Check out all the great stuff we have up there. Also go to Three River Blades. Tons of knives, great stuff that we're doing right there. Also, the websites are getting updated as soon as possible, so you'll have a lot more options that you can pick from. Thank you very much for watching. As always, stay safe. Thank you.